In history, some moments fade while others stand taller over time. The difference is often found in how a moment causes us to react and change. May 2020, when George Floyd became part of American history. Now, as the officer charged in his death stands trial, we look to how America has changed since that moment.
It did make things difficult.
Whether the work to solve one of our country's biggest issues is still being done.
How do we combat it? How do we build trust? You got to get out and you got to meet people.
And if those important conversations about race many had then,
the growth takes place at home, inside your own doors,
are still being had now.
And then you take that out into your own communities.
And that is why we came here. Step into Nicole Jennings' book club today.
Here to know I don't think this is true.
You'll hear conversations she wasn't having with her neighbors a year ago.
When you know more, you can do more.
This book club was born in the months after the death of George Floyd. The discussion is often about issues at the core of what took place less than 10 miles from where they live in the Minneapolis suburb of Edina.
The fact that I'm a person of color. So for me to talk about life is not difficult, but for someone else to talk about my life and my experiences and to understand them from my point of view, it takes a lot. Literally, the world was watching. It takes someone who would want to listen and want to learn and not feel as though anyone's pointing fingers, but my reality is my reality.
For 8 years, she's lived in this neighborhood that is mostly white.
Unless you get out of your bubble, out of your comfort zone, you'll never recognize what you're impacting and what's also impacting you.
My favorite bumper stickers I've seen is, "Change is good, you go first."
Like many suburbs across America, Edina is evolving. Mayor Jim Hovland says his city has taken steps over the years to become more inclusive, like hiring a race and equity coordinator.
Gaining a better understanding of what these issues have historically been for people that are different from us, that have faced more impediments in life, things that we just took for granted.
Usually in Edina, I think we try and stray away from the hard conversations about race, diversity, and inclusion in order to avoid conflict.
High school senior Shreya Kunkamola has taken an active role in Edina when it comes to social justice. She's building a virtual art gallery titled From Struggling to Healing.
It's something that we can all come together with and come to appreciate together, and I think from that, then we have the ability to understand other people and where they're coming from.
And you've inherited it.
It's hard to know what progress looks like for an issue so deep.
People paying attention to what it is that goes on over here.
So personal.
There's no yardstick for progress when you think about the centuries of acts that have not been discussed.
Nicole says book club conversations have grown over the months to be authentic.
We can take what we're reading and look around us in the world. It's the fact that we listen, and by doing so, we learn from each other.
As we close in on a year since many parts of America started having uncomfortable conversations, Nicole says it's important the discussions don't go quiet.
Ahmaud Arbery, right? That was before, and then right after that was Breonna Taylor, and it was like sequential. And again, you don't recognize it until it got in your backyard. That was frustrating. That was frustrating. It was that concept. It wasn't the fact that let's talk about it moment. No, I'm eager to do that, actually. So I welcome it.
Colleges and universities have played a central role in advancing the conversation about race in America over the last year. Dan Grossman traveled to one of the country's first historically black colleges to see what's inspiring younger generations to act.
For whom does the bell toll? The second you step foot on this campus, you're stepping into history.
At Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina,
people who did not get it now get it.
It tolls for Ashley Neely.
It's involving systemic and structural inequities.
For Johnny Hill.
We need to collaborate with our counterparts in order to move forward.
For Ian Finley, who has experienced firsthand the inequities he now fights to change.
Even walking downtown, sometimes I was advised to, of course, not wear a hoodie. My parents would tell me to wear glasses, and sometimes I'd be like, why are they telling me to wear glasses? But for some reason, me wearing glasses makes me seem more innocent and less violent.
You might notice Ian's slight accent. Both he and Ashley are from the Bahamas, having only traveled to the United States for school.
I thought it was actually not as divided before coming to the United States.
It didn't take long for either to realize the America they dreamed of was not the America they now know.
I'm in this store and like this person is following me around the store, like I don't know what to do. She said, well, Ashley, like that's your reality now.
For Ian and Ashley, that new reality came to a head last May when George Floyd was killed. After seeing the fires, the outcry, the demands for change, the seniors approached one of the school's deans and helped create the Center for Racial and Social Justice, which has broadened the conversation of race in America from right here at Shaw to the greater Raleigh community, creating a blueprint for other universities to do the same.
This is our time. This is our moment to, I think, really shine the light on the power of the human spirit to bring about change and social transformation.
Dr. Johnny Hill is the dean who helped create this center. An activist himself, he wanted to confront the uncomfortable divisions that have hurt his community for generations. He got leaders, both political and not, to come together and answer the question, what does systemic racism look like?
For me, I think it's important that we move from feeling and emotion and this sort of visceral response of those kinds of images to organizing and to developing thoughtful action.
Around town, there are now art installations, speakers, events, places for those who might not see what they see to educate themselves in this fight that will take more than just a few inspirational figures to create true equality.
Knowledge is power, but it's the correct application of knowledge that is really going to get us to the point that we really need to be at.
I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
Next on The Race, we talk about police accountability. This is Kayla Moore. She died during an encounter with police. We're with the group helping that family and others hold officers accountable. The Race continues next.